her nomination for ambassador to the United Nations. Trump says he would rather keep her in a congressional leadership role because Republicans need all hands on deck to implement the Trump agenda. The president posted this on Truth Social. Elise Stefanik has been a vital part of our efforts from the very beginning. I have asked Elise, as one of my biggest allies, to remain in Congress with a very tight majority. I don't want to take a chance on anyone else running for Elise's seat. Stefanik reacted last night.
We need to secure the border, cut taxes, unleash American energy independence, and deliver these historic results on behalf of the president because of this tremendous mandate that the American people gave him. So I have been proud to be a team player. The president knows that. He and I had multiple conversations today, and we are committed to delivering results on behalf of the American people.
Joining me now is Texas Congressman August Pfluger, the Republican Study Committee chairman. Mr. Chairman, it's great to see you this morning. Thanks so much for being here. What's your reaction to this?
Well, it's great to see you as well, Maria. You know, Elise is a team player. She's a leader. She has been from the very moment that I entered Congress. I thought that she was going to be a fantastic ambassador to the United Nations and somebody who could speak for the United States and really bring us back from where the Biden administration was. So obviously it's disappointing to not be able to see her rise into that role. But I will say she is a leader in the House. She will remain a leader in the House. We do have a tight margin, and it just shows the selfless nature of the people that we have serving in the U.S. Congress.
And tell me about that tight margin. It's got to be frustrating when you want to get full support on some of these things related to President Trump's agenda, but you don't have the votes. I mean, the Republican Study Committee is launching a new effort trying to get President Trump's executive orders into permanent legislation and codify this into law. You call the initiative Set in Stone, the Trump legacy laws aiming to codify legislation such as Remain in Mexico Act, the Dismantle DEI Act, the Americans Act, the Birthright Citizenship Act, and the End the Deep State Act, and No Taxpayer Funding for World Health Organization Act, among others. Congressman, what are your priorities here? What is a must codify?
Well, those bills that you just mentioned right there represent really a handful in a wide variety through all the committees of Congress that President Trump has already enacted into executive order. So we want to see those codified. We don't want to just see them, really present for the next 4 years during this administration. We want to see them extend to the next administration. So we have 180 plus members of the Republican Study Committee, the largest, the oldest policy organization. We talk every week. And we have members who are conservative, who want to see good policy put into law. President Trump has moved in the right direction, and this set in stone priority for the Republican Study Committee is exactly what needs to happen to get leadership to put these bills on the floor, to pass them in the Senate, and to see them not just 4 years, but for really the remainder of time for these to become law.
I mean, particularly as it relates to energy. Of course, you're on the Energy Committee, and you represent probably one of the most important regions of the country, if not the world, in terms of energy capacity, the Permian Basin. So, I mean, when you're talking about the energy of executive orders in particular, permitting, very important. What else is critical to ensuring that the next president can't come into town and reverse what President Trump has put in place so easily?
Well, we've championed several things, and you're right. We don't want to see another president, Democrat president, do what President Biden did. Last week, I had the honor of being in the Oval Office with President Trump signing into law just the second piece of legislation that was signed into law, which repealed the methane tax, the natural gas tax that President Biden did to assault the industry. And that's just the beginning. We're going to keep going on this. What President Trump did on day one by enacting a national emergency for our energy security sector was to unleash American energy, to make sure that we could cut the red tape, that we could use the resources that we have right here underneath our feet, and that we could lower the cost of energy for every single American. So, again, being in the Oval Office to sign into law, to codify into law his executive orders last Friday to repeal the natural gas tax was a huge honor.
So I'm going to get your take on Iran, because Iran is responding to President Trump's letter about reaching a new nuclear deal. The country's foreign minister says they will, quote, not engage in direct negotiations while under maximum pressure and military threats, but say that indirect talks can continue. Bottom line here is Iran is responding to the fact that President Trump, as you know, told me in that interview 2 weeks ago that he sent a letter to the Ayatollah Khomeini saying, let's talk about your buildup in nuclear weaponry. How do you read this?
Well, first things first, we had a 4-year period of complete weakness. President Trump comes in. He reinstates the maximum pressure policy framework, which I think has brought them to the table. Remember, this is the president who wrote The Art of the Deal. This is the president who understands leverage. This is the president who is standing up for Americans, standing up for Israelis, standing up for a region that has been thrown into chaos because of Iran state-sponsored terrorism. So I trust what the president is doing. You have seen his actions already to keep especially Israel and Western U.S. interest in the Middle East safe. We need to get to a denuclearized Iran. We need to make sure that that is never an option for them, and it involves many different tools. I trust what the president is doing because he's the only person in the last 4 years that has actually brought real ideas to the table to make sure Iran doesn't continue to sow terrorism.
Yeah, a lot of ideas to the table. And then there's China and the United States. The military officials are hoping to hold talks in the near future. A Chinese Defense Ministry spokesperson said that both sides have reached some preliminary consensus and that a stable relationship serves the country's common interests. As the U.S.-China arms race heats up, the administration giving Boeing a $20 billion contract to build the Air Force's next generation of fighter jets. That's the F-47. President Trump says this will be the most lethal jet yet. Congressman, you're the only member of Congress who is a fifth-generation fighter pilot. Tell us about this advancement, how it puts the U.S. ahead of China, because there are a lot of concerns that the Chinese Communist Party is beating America when it comes to the Navy, when it comes to certain drone technology. Where are we?
Well, this one is near and dear to my heart. I spent a tremendous amount of time in my professional career flying the F-22, the F-15. I have advocated very vocally for this next generation air dominance, NGAD, as it's called, the sixth generation platform, which allows us to move into the next phase where we have deterrence, where we're able to hold China at bay. Look, our Air Force right now, it's no secret that we are the smallest. We've grown to the least capable that we've been in decades. So President Trump, this is promises made, promises kept. He said he was going to recapitalize our military. He said he was going to bring our military back to prominence. That's exactly what the F-47 represents. I'm so proud that he and Secretary Hegseth made this decision. It's the right choice, and it will bring our military back into a position where we can deter actors like the Chinese Communist Party who have come a long way in their weapon systems, their technology. We know that they don't just have a regional goal for hegemony. They actually have a worldwide goal. So the F-47 represents American power, American ability to deter. It is near and dear to my heart, so very proud that they've made this decision.
Yeah, I mean, I saw a report the other day that what's most important in the coming couple of years is going to be electricity, even more so than oil and gas. What are your thoughts in terms of the need for electricity as we talk about this AI race and the need for data centers?
You're absolutely right. We had a hearing on this week in the Energy and Commerce Committee. It's something that the Republican Study Committee is looking at as well. We know that what the Biden administration did by picking winners and losers, unreliable energy sources, has led us into a deficiency of electricity. And we know that in the coming years, just in 3 to 5 years, in fact, maybe 50 to 100% increase in the demand for electricity. So every source that we have is going to have to play a role. But obviously, reliable sources like nuclear, like natural gas, are going to play an increasingly more important role. What President Trump is doing to bring businesses, manufacturing, and industry back to the United States is the right call, but it requires affordable, reliable electricity. That is something that this country has to get our arms around. You mentioned permitting reform. We're going to have to do that as well to allow the transmission of electricity to the businesses. I mean, just look at Texas, where we have a tremendous amount of industry that has flocked to our pro-business state in the last 4 years.
All right, sir. We will be watching your work, important work. We appreciate your time this morning, Congressman. Thank you.
Thank you, Maria.
All right, August Pfluger joining us. Quick break.